do. I could do what you do. Believe me. Niggas give me heebie-jeebies.
Okay, it's funny. It's funny. Let's laugh about it. Let's laugh about it. Why is nobody laughing? Nobody's laughing now because it's not funny.
Almost made you love me. Almost made you cry. Almost made you happy, babe. Didn't I? You almost had me thinking.
Ooh, honey. Girl, I've been waiting to talk about this. Make sure you're ready. Make sure you have your snack. Make sure you have your notebook, whatever you need to have ready, because I've been waiting to talk about this and I have some things to say.
I just wanted to reach out and apologize. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I offended anyone by singing along to the Fugees, to a song I love that I grew up on. I love Lauryn Hill, and I really am sorry if I offended you.
I don't really know too much about Gina Rodriguez, girl. I don't know too much about her. I don't watch Jane the Virgin. I know that she's a woman of Latin descent, I'm pretty sure. I don't think that she is Afro-Latino. I'm pretty sure that she's not Afro-Latino because she has not claimed to be Afro-Latino. Like Evelyn Lozada, girl, because a lot of the girls are coming out here talking about the Afro-Latino. Different video. I have not made a lot of videos talking about celebrities and stuff like that because that's not necessarily what I want my brand to be. It's like celeb gossip, you know? I think we have enough gays to do that, right? The reason why I'm making this video is because this kind of hits home for me because recently I was in a situation where somebody called me the N-word. Someone who was not a person of color. And they called me it in a derogatory way. Whether or not Gina Rodriguez said it in a derogatory way, clearly she didn't. Clearly she was rapping along to a song. But you can't tell me that I cannot be offended because of how you meant it. You get what I'm saying? You cannot tell me how to feel because of how you meant it. Your intentions are always different from the impact. So whether your intentions was to have a little Fuji karaoke moment on your Instagram story, or were that or not, whether that was your intention or not, girl, the impact was that you offended a ton of people. And from my understanding, you know, she hasn't had the best track record when asked about issues that are impertinent to Black America, or she doesn't speak up on issues regarding Black America. I don't know, but I have not heard anything like super positive, like Gina Rodriguez is at the front lines, girl, for the Black Lives Matter. Gina Rodriguez is donating money to HBCU. Like, I haven't heard anything to make me feel like Gina Rodriguez should get a pass to say the N-word. And I don't give out passes to say the N-word, period. It's just not something I do. If I'm being frank and being quite honest, I really do feel like no one should be saying the word. I do think that it's a word that does come from an ugly origin and has, you know, somewhat of a negative connotation. However, it has been a word of reclamation, and it's a word that we do say as a community. We use it in our music, and that's a part of our culture. Because if you grew up in the Bronx, or she grew up wherever she grew up, I don't know. I'm getting it confused with Evelyn Lozada because the sauces is real similar. The sauces taste real similar, real bitter. If she grew up around Black people, they gave her a pass to say the word. That's great, that's fine, that's dandy. They can do that in the comfort of their own home. But when you are a celebrity and you are on the front lines and everything you do under a microscope, you have to be very careful of what you say. And furthermore, I think that this instance is really giving fuel to the fire and showing you how many people that are not Black people, because I can't even say people of color, how many people that are not Black feel comfortable and feel like they should have a right to say the word. It makes me think about the words like FAG. It makes me think about the F word, impertinence to the gay community. That is a word that has been reclaimed. Queer is a word that has been reclaimed. I remember growing up hearing the word queer, and that was like a bad thing. Like, being called queer was not a good thing. You know, being called a FAG was not a good thing. And there are songs, there's music like that used by queer artists that use that term. You know what I'm saying? Like, jovial, jokingly, sometimes friends and I will use that term. But if you're not a part of the community, then it is not a word for you to say. And as someone who's a part of the community, you cannot tell me how I should feel, that I cannot be offended, because you do not understand what it's like to be a Black person in America. You do not understand what it's like to be a Black person, the only Black person in a corporate setting, the only Black person in a lecture hall, the only Black person. Now, you may understand what it's like to be the only Hispanic person, the only Latino person. I cannot speak on that experience. I cannot tell you how to feel or how not to be offended if something I say is offensive to the Latin community, to the Hispanic community, to a community of women, to a community of immigrants. Like, I cannot tell you how to feel if something I say is offensive. Okay? I can apologize for my statement. I can take a moment to speak to you and try and understand, okay, what was the impact? Regardless of my intent, how did you take this and why did you take it this way? The apology video that she put out was very, like, girl, it was very wilted lettuce. It's just annoying because I don't understand why everybody wants a pass to say the word so much. Like, girl, skip over it. If a song comes on and just don't say the word, like, just don't say the word. Like, clearly if there's one thing that's bothering an entire group of people, I don't understand why we feel the need to just have to say, I don't care whether you grew up in the Bronx or not, whether you grew up around black people or not, girl, if you get to a certain environment and it makes other black people uncomfortable, just don't say it. Like, just literally don't say it. It's literally that easy. This is reminding me of the whole situation. I don't know if you guys are aware, but the Washington Redskins, and there's another pro sport team that utilizes a former racial slur that was traditionally used against Native Americans. And now that is literally the name of a sports team. Okay, the people go and they wear paraphernalia with Indians, which is not even the correct term. You know, and it's just very distasteful. It's very culturally insensitive. And I know that there have been initiatives by Native Americans and descendants of Native Americans to try and get that removed and get that changed. Has any progress been made? I don't know. I don't think so, because clearly everybody still running around in Redskin shirts and foam fingers and going to the games. But the point that I'm trying to make is that that's offensive. That's offensive, and this is also offensive. It's the same thing. You have a minority group who has done their best to move forward, to move past struggle, strife, discrimination, all kinds of things, and take a little bit back of something that was so negative. And if there's one thing that you can't say or that you can't do with all the privilege that you may have, you should just accept it. Like, take the L and be like, okay, I'm just not gonna say this. I feel like it's very different for Gina Rodriguez because she herself is a minority. Okay, so she's again, I know that she's of Hispanic or Latin descent, and she is a woman in America. So it's just like, I feel like if anybody should understand like something that's offensive, it should be her. And so for her to get on Twitter and issue that fake, salty, phony, dry, tasteless, low-calorie, Crystal Light apology, girl, you can keep it. I'm not interested. I don't want it. I don't want to be a part of the rewards program. I don't want to sign up. I don't want to give you my email. I don't want to give you my phone number. I'm not interested. I no longer want to shop here. Thank you. I can't say I'm disappointed because like I said, I didn't watch Gina Rodriguez. I wasn't a huge fan before this happened. But what I will say is that this speaks to a larger issue. And I do see a lot of black people on social media saying things like, oh, y'all are so sensitive. Y'all are so sensitive. And it's like, okay, guys, are we sensitive or are we just sick and tired? Like, are we sensitive or are we just trying to stop this from snowballing into a bigger issue? Because when people feel comfortable saying the N-word in their favorite song, girl, then when they get upset with you, they might feel comfortable enough to call you the N-word. They might feel comfortable enough to call somebody else the N-word because you let them get a pass and say and sing the YG song when y'all was drinking beer on a Friday night. I just have some questions for Gina and for the girls who are team Gina Rodriguez and who think that's okay. Have you ever been followed around a grocery store or a clothing store or accused of stealing because you're black? Have you ever been targeted and singled out in a classroom or academic setting because you're the only black person present? Have you ever been called the N-word as a derogatory term, as a racial slur with a hard ER, and gone home and cried about it because it's absolutely disgusting and hurtful? Have any black men in your family been affected by the school to prison pipeline? Okay, cute. I can't tell you what to say or what not to say, but what I do know is, Miss Thing, don't say it around me, because I might not be too nice. On or off of Twitter.